40 of the Lonely Knitter podcast. 40! How did we get to 40? Welcome to my knit night. My name is Laura, and here is my little space where I come every week to chat mainly about my knitting, also quite a bit about life, and yeah, just to rabbit on really at my phone, I'm just talking at my phone, for like an hour. Fingers crossed, maybe shorter. I can't stop myself from running away sometimes, so it just carries on and on. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back, and if you are a new viewer, thank you so much for checking me out in the first place. Every time I get a new friend that I make through my podcast, I am just overwhelmed, happy. Every time someone subscribes, I'm like, new friend. Every time I get a thumbs up, I really do appreciate it. I really do. Yeah, I'm most contactable on Instagram if you'd like to have a chat with me. I'm the Lonely Knitter on Instagram. I'm the Lonely Knitter 2 on Ravelry. I do not use Ravelry a massive amount. I find it quite clunky, but I do check in over there, so feel free to send me a message. There is also the Lonely Knitter podcast group over on Ravelry. I am not super active in there, though the finished objects thread for our current knit along is in there and open and ready for you to fill. I am also over in the Facebook group, so I am currently running a knit along shared with Katie of the Geordie Knits podcast. If you don't know Katie, go and check her out, she's brilliant. Yeah, our Facebook group is called Knit Along with Geordie Knits and the Lonely Knitter. It is a lovely group, and right now we are running a hashtag strand into summer knit along. So stranded colourwork, knit along, anything goes as long as it is stranded colourwork, so that is at least more than one colour being used in a row, around, whichever. Only because if you do like mosaic where you're slipping stitches, we're not counting that, we are counting at least more than one colour in a row at some point. So yeah, anything counts. It can have a little bit of stranded colourwork, it can have a lot of stranded colourwork, it can be a sweater, it could be a sock, it could be anything, so we're not fussy. That is running, it started on the 1st of April, it's running for a full 3 months, and then we will be starting a shawl knit along. So yeah, there's lots of fun planned, it's not petering out at all. I'm sure I didn't say the date. Today is Sunday, I always record on a Sunday and post on a Monday. Sunday the 19th of May today, and yeah, episode 40. Wow, I can't believe we've got there. If you're a returning viewer, you might notice that I am not in my usual spot. My dining table has a lot of stuff on it, and this is like, I'm looking at where I would normally sit at the table. I'm sat on my dining side of the kitchen diner on the floor. And you guys are balanced on my daughter's easel, like with the chalkboard and a whiteboard on it. You're standing on there. It's all professional over here. So let's jump straight into the knitting. I'm sure I haven't forgot anything, probably have, we'll see. Let's jump straight into the knitting because I have no finished objects. Don't think I had any last week. It's all a bit of a shambles. So no finished objects. Whips. I'm only going to show you one. I barely knit this week. Shock horror. I know I've mentioned the last few weeks that I've really not been, I've been a bit under the weather. I'm still not quite right. Going to bed really early. Waking up still feeling knackered every day, even though I'm sleeping like a log. And I have a 2-year-old. That's what I didn't mention. I'm from Lowestoft, the most easterly point of England, and I live here with my husband and my 2-year-old daughter. So yeah, I'm not, you know, I do work. I work 2 and a bit days a week, and then the rest of the time I'm with my toddler, and I'm just really knackered. And I think I've done enough episodes where I've whinged about being knackered, but yeah, still knackered over here. And it's really been getting to me recently, and a bunch of other stuff which I'll talk later about my week. And I haven't knit half as much as I wanted. I started the week knitting on my tenure and got a little bit further. not going to show you because it does pretty much look like I did last week. I only worked a little bit more on it. And then halfway through the week I cast this on. And this is how much this feels like all I have knit in a whole week, which is appalling because this is fingering weight, so on nice big needles, so it's not a lot at all. This is the beginnings of the mini magpie. So if you, I think I mentioned before that I was going to be testing this, can't 100% remember, might not have done, but Melissa Skeinanigans, creator of the Northeasterly blanket. If you don't know what that is, then I don't know what rock you've been living under. But the Northeasterly blanket, epic. Go and check it out. It's on Ravelry. Brilliant, brilliant scrap blanket. And this is a mini version of Magpie Tendency. So Magpie Tendency is a cropped, sort of over the top of clothes, or for me it would be top. It's knit on a really loose gauge, and I have a 2-year-old little girl, and when Melissa said that she was looking into releasing a mini magpie, so for kids, I was like, I'll test. So I need to pull my finger out and get this one done. I'm hoping to have this done before podcast next week, and hopefully be able to take Ellie somewhere nice to have pictures taken in it. So this is the beginnings of mini magpie. The yarn is a Olann yarns, fingering weight yarn, and it is in a one-of-a-kind colourway. It's gorgeous. My gorgeous friend Katie from the Geordie Knits podcast, she sent me this yarn. She went to EYF this year. I didn't get to go, and so I gave her a list of a couple of things that I really wanted, and she bought them for me, and I sent her the money, and then she put in a few goodies, and one of them was this skein that she had been given by Jess, who is the dyer behind Olann. So yeah, this is pretty special. This is me knitting this into something for my toddler. I did think long and hard about that before I did it, and I am sure that I will have a good amount left, and I will be able to do something with that leftovers. I better. And that is living in my Star Wars AmeliaXjoy bag, which is one of my oldest project bags in rotation, and I love this bag. I've always loved this bag, and it's still got a carabiner on it. I went through a stage a few years ago, I don't know, maybe I thought it was cool, but it was before I had kids. I put a carabiner on every project bag I had. I just ordered like a bulk load off Amazon or eBay or whatever, and then I would clip it to my belt loop or to my handbag, and then just have my knitting hanging off wherever, and I looked like I had some sort of like climbing pack attached to me, and then I'd pull out my knitting and people would realise that I am different. So yeah, Star Wars AmeliaXjoy bag, and that is pretty much all I have worked on. I've wound a load of yarn, I will talk about that. In fact, why not talk about it now, as that is the only whip. So, had a bit of a winding party. I don't have a Swift, because mine broke just before Christmas, and but I do have a wool binder, so I have to lay it over my knees. I will eventually get round to buying a new Swift. It's just a case of I am trying not to spend too much money at the moment, because we've got some expensive things coming up, and trips, like I'm going to Perth, and we're going to have that as our family holiday, and you know, so I don't have a ton of spare at the moment to put like £45 into the Swift that I would really like. So until I spend loads of little bits of money when I probably could have saved all those and got the Swift. Okay, so we're on to stash enhancement, and I've got tons to show you, which isn't really, you know, the best when I said I was definitely not spending money. But most of it I didn't buy. Power and fruit today, we're not that been going that long. Blah blah blah. So first thing that turned up this week was something that I talked about last week. I had ordered this last week because I had a little bit of money left when I got paid, and I really wanted it. So I ordered this nice big bag. So it says, let your smile change the world, but don't let the world change your smile. And it is a lovely big bag with a lovely long handle, and it's just lined in a similar, little bit darker fabric, and it has poppers to close it. So there are 4 poppers, 1 at each end and 2 in the middle. And I think this is probably going to be my blanket bag. I think I'm going to move the Northeasterly blanket over into this bag because it's nice and big, and my Northeasterly is currently in a bag that is outgrowing very, very rapidly. So this is a So Beautiful by Nicola bag, and I love Nicola's bags. I have a few now, and I saw this one, and they are all incredibly well priced. Like, there's something for everyone's budget over there, definitely. Shops on Etsy, I will include a link below. But yeah, this is the first thing that turned up this week, and every time something has turned up this week, I have just, it seems to have been when I have been in a bit of a upset state, and those things have turned up and I've been like, oh, thank you. They've all turned up at like the perfect time. So that was the first thing that I bought and got this week. The next thing that turned up I did not buy, and I did not expect. So I've talked before about Jane of Family Tree Yarns. She is an amazing, amazing human being, and her yarn is fabulous. So Jane is a brilliant dyer. She has an Etsy shop, the links will be below as always, and I love working with her yarn. And just out of the blue, she sent a prize for the Strand into Summer knit-along, and something for me, so I was really blown away. So this is what she was planning to be the prize. So this is a mini skein set. I have just wiggled these about so you can hopefully see them all from there, but we'll turn around. So they have got little speckles, some of them, they're so gorgeous and I love them. So Family Tree Yarns, and this one is a 5 20-gram mini set, and 20 grams is 80 metres of 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. And I think that says Sweet Tarts. Sweet Tarts is the name. I think that's what it says. And it's so gorgeous, Jane! Oh my gosh. So this is one of the prizes. She also sent me this. This is gorgeous, gorgeous. So this, she said, was for me. It's a sock set, you guys. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. I'll just show you. So this gorgeous, gorgeous green. There we go. And then the main colour has lots of lovely, like, speckledy parts. Look at this bit. She gave me this. I'm really overwhelmed, but like, you know, the idea that she would send me something for me. Jane is my friend, absolutely. I mean, we've never met, but she's an online friend who has been there for me massively, and I absolutely adore her. But yeah, every time anything like this comes in the post, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So thank you so, so much, Jane. This one is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 100 grams, and a 20-gram mini, and it's called New Beginnings. New beginnings. I feel like I need some new beginnings, or I'm currently in the process of hopefully having new beginnings going on. I'll tell you a bit more later. So yeah. So, I mean, this to get this all in a package coming through your door is like, wow. There is a little bit of me that's like, I want the minis. So yeah, Jane, I might be like, Jane. I love them both. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. I love them absolutely both. But every time I look at those minis, I'm like, we'll see. We'll see, Jane. But yeah, oh my gosh, Jane, Family Tree Yarns, go and check her out. She is an awesome human being. She's so kind, she's so supportive, she's so lovely, but she also dyes the most gorgeous yarns. She is really talented, and I adore her. So thank you so, so much, Jane. And that came on a day when I was definitely in tears. Oh, I didn't show this. So Beautiful by Nicola, my lovely friend Nicola, also included in her package a bunch of progress keepers and a tea. And these are the progress keepers. They're all very jiggly. A tree. I'll put that on one of my family tree yarns. And a scarf, little knit scarf. And a witch on a broom. And a sword. That's so cool. I'm definitely going to use them. That was almost a word in between cool and cute. Didn't know what that was that came out of my mouth. So those came through the door. And then the next thing I bought. So on Friday, I took Ellie to my local yarn shop, and just because I needed some needle tips. Now, I have talked about before the fact that I would really, really like to have a set of like Chalgu interchangeables. Well, I can't afford it, it's not in my budget at the moment, but if I was a bit short on Knit Pro Symphony tips, which is what I am using at the moment. I just needed 2 other sizes, and mainly because I break them. I find they break really easily. But when you can get for like £4.50 a set of Knit Pro tips, it's just a lot cheaper. You know, I can afford the odd £4.50 for a Knit Pro tip, whereas to get a Chalgu set or start building one would cost me a bit more. Anyway, so while I was there, my yarn shop is what I call a acrylic yarn shop, like a older generation. It is my nanny's local yarn shop. Anna, the lovely lady that runs it, is so nice. She is definitely not my nanny's age at all, but a lot of her clientele are my nanny and my nanny's generation, and they have always knit with acrylic and, or you know, yarns that are majority acrylic. There are obviously cotton yarns and other yarns there, but you know, the giant wall of Stylecraft Special is the main thing in the shop, and Anna, who runs it, is very proud of that. She has all the colours, everyone, you know, I buy yarn from there all the time. Like, they don't do hand-dyed yarns, they don't do higher end price-wise yarns, and we've had lots of chats about that before, because Anna, who runs the shop, totally gets me and knows where I'm coming from with the yarns I'm talking about, but she also knows her customers, and her customers at current aren't really that interested. She is trying incredibly hard to try and break it in, and her newest thing is that she has started stocking some West Yorkshire Spinners yarn, and that is a big deal. I'm really chuffed. So I went in to buy a couple of needle tips, and she very happily showed me the West Yorkshire Spinners yarn that she has now started stocking, and I couldn't not buy any. I know I've said I'm on a bit of a yarn diet until shows, but you know, this is my most local yarn shop, the one that is literally 2 minutes from my house, in the car. 3 minutes, maybe. And, you know, how can I not show my support when they're, you know, selling things that I really, really, you know, they're getting into the vein of the things that I like. So it's sock yarn, because I do love to knit socks, even though you wouldn't be able to tell from this podcast, because it's just that it isn't going on. My sock mojo is down the drain right now. But I got this. It's so pretty. It's so rainbow. Or as Ellie calls it, mbo. She has this week, and my heart is broken, but this week she has started to say rainbow like that really clearly, and she's always said mbo before, and it was like one of her little baby things. Anyway, so I don't know if it has a colourway on here. I can't see one. But yeah, I bought just one of West Yorkshire Spinners yarn, because I wanted to support my yarn shop, and I wanted to show how excited I was for the fact that West Yorkshire Spinners yarn has come to Lowestoft, and I love this colourway. It's amazing. So going into stash, it will happen. It will happen. And then I came home, and then on the weekend I received another package. I did know this one was coming though, but I didn't know what was going to be in it. So the lovely Mina of the Knitting Expat podcast, I watch her podcast, love her podcast, and she spins now. I think she has a Kronsky wheel. Now, I used to have a spinning wheel and it died a horribly slow death. It was an antique spinning wheel, and it wasn't in the best condition when it came to me, and I didn't have the money to get it refurbished, so between me and my granddad we made it work. It was quite a adapted spinning wheel to make it work, but there we go. And I loved it to bits, and I had it for a couple of years, well, a few years actually, before I sold it to someone who genuinely wanted to refurbish it properly, which I was very happy to see it then go to them. And but it did very much die a death before I did that, and I couldn't use it anymore. So I got rid of my spinning wheel, but I kept all my fibre because I loved it, and very slowly over the course of the next few years I had given away lots of fibre, and then I was doing a little bit of a clear up, and there was 2 braids. No, they weren't braids, were they? I can't remember, but they were Teeswater fibre, and I think they were Teeswater. Find out in a minute. I messaged Mina and said, would you be interested in these? I'm going to put them in the bin otherwise, so, you know, rescue them or not. And she opted to rescue them. So I sent those off to her, and this was like early in the year. And she was very lovely about them. And she spun them, and she sent me one of them back. Spun. Hand spun. So she sent me a package. I didn't know what was going to be in it, and then I opened it, and this came out, and it is the most beautiful. So on the little label she's put on it, it says Artist's Palette Yarn, Sunset Hill, Teeswater Top, and it says 96 grams, 147 yards, or 135 metres, sport to a DK. So Mina with the, here's your yardage, here's the weight, and it is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And she said in her little card, which I've left in the other room, convenient, that that it was, you know, it'd come out as this lovely gradient. And I am overwhelmed because this is what I mean about, I think I mentioned it last week, might have not been last week, might have been the week before, but if you get something from someone that someone made, I am just overwhelmed by their kindness, and you know how much effort and time has been spent to get that thing. So, you know, like people say all the time, you make stuff, so I'm not going to give you something I made because you can make it yourself. It's not like that. If you are a maker and you get a handmade present, you know how much time and effort has gone into making that thing. And yeah, for me to have hand-spun yarn spun by someone else just it really overwhelms me, and it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So thank you so much, Mina, and this means that I get to join in the smell. So Mina and Grace from Babbles Travelling Yarns are having a spin and make along. So I think they're still in the spinning segment at this point, but then they have a make along section where you make something with your handspun, and it doesn't have to be your handspun, it could be handspun that you've been gifted or that you've bought or got from someone else. So when that starts, I now get to join in with my handspun. So thank you very, very much, Mina. And so she sent me this, and then she sent me a few other goodies as well. This first one is a Bad Wolf Girl Studios. I've never had Bad Wolf Girl Studios. I don't have many yarns that are from overseas, and it's so pretty. It's so pretty. I love it, and it's so soft. And she said that this is one of her like yarns that she really likes, bases that she really likes. It's 80% superwash merino wool, 20% nylon, 400 yards of sock yarn in the Salazar Slytherin colourway, and I love it. I also know that Katie, Geordie Knits, would snap this out of my hands faster than the speed of light because it's got green in it. But it is so, so beautiful. You can't have it, Katie. It's mine. But yeah, it's so, so gorgeous. So, and again, totally like opened a package and I was like, whoa, mind blown. And then there was also a couple of lovely extras in there as well. One was these really cute little sticky notes. So these are definitely going in my little notions bag. Everyone needs sticky notes, and I love little dolls. I love them. I love them. And then the last, definitely not least, and the thing that Ellie definitely loved the most were these. So this little envelope is full of buttons, and aren't buttons just the hardest thing to show on a podcast? But they're all little ice creams, and they are all different colours. Oh, they're amazing. Oh no. They're so gorgeous, and they're all like all the colours. And yeah, I opened this in front of Ellie. Ellie is 2. Ellie straight away grabbed the first one out of my hand that she could. Oh, ice cream, nom nom. And I'm like, it's all well and good, you going nom nom. Don't put that in your mouth. So she was obsessed and wanted to play with the ice creams, the little ice creams, for quite a long time. But I cannot wait to put these onto something, and they will go on something soon, or at least a few of them, because there's so many there. So I'll definitely be able to get at least a couple of garments worth of buttons out of those. So thank you so much, Mina. I was totally overwhelmed, and Ellie was incredibly happy with the buttons, and she is going to flip her lid when she sees those on a garment, on something she can wear. She'll love it, absolutely love it. But I was, again, having a bit of a day. It's been a lot of days this week. So that's everything yarny wise, apart from podcasts that I've watched. And I'm so grateful. Just moving things out of the way so I can stretch my legs. I'm so grateful for everyone that has spent the time, like taken the time to message me or talk to me this week, because I even had a phone call at one point from Katie, Geordie Knits Katie, to check in that I was still good. So I was being a bit quiet at one point, but especially Jane, Family Tree Hands, and Mina. Those packages, they really picked me up, and you guys, that's just so overwhelmingly generous. Thank you very much. So podcasts that I've watched this week: Geordie Knits, always watch Geordie Knits. Her podcast comes out on a Monday weekly, same as me. SCR1TNO, and so that's Sharon. She's my yarn mum. Sharon has also been on holiday. She's gone to Wales and has been vlogging and putting up vlogs. I'm not completely caught up. I've watched at least 2, but Sharon's lovely, and her vlogs are lovely, and some of the scenery is just stunning, and go and have a little watch. The Hairy Sheep podcast, I am caught up with the Hairy Sheep. I love Rosie and Emma. They are fabulous. So Emma's the mum, Rosie's the daughter. They are lovely. They are both knitters and spinners and dyers, and everything you can think of, they do it. I have also been watching Ramblin Needles. Morgan, I don't know how, but I got 2 episodes behind, so I've watched 1 and I just need to watch 1 more, so I am caught up. Morgan is completely renamed as Morgan's Magic Needles. Katie, I think, renamed her, and I am in agreement. And then Stranded and Knitting Expat, Mina. I started Stranded on the Thursday in the car. I don't really listen to Stranded, I just plug her into my stereo. I don't really watch Stranded, I listen to her. I do sometimes pause it and come back to it later if I can't, if there's something I really would wanted to see, but I have to fit in all of these kind of podcasts, and I've got so many, and so that one I normally plug into the stereo and listen to while we're driving to and from Ellie's swimming lesson on a Thursday. And then Mina, Knitting Expat, has another episode out, and I watched first quarter last night. Just need to catch up and finish that one as well. Other than that, I have a ginormous pile of podcasts that need to get caught up on. So many amazing podcasters that I absolutely love. I just don't seem to be getting the time that I need to watch them all. And I don't want to forget anyone. Like, they're all on my YouTube sub list, and I will get through everyone. I will have a big binge watch and catch up, and I will get there. But there are so many really, really good podcasts that I am definitely missing out on at the moment because I just haven't had the time / brain space. Evenings, I am asleep. Early mornings when I would get up, I'm asleep. The mornings when I then get up and would have something on in the background, I am a zombie. So, yeah. This is what happens when you have a toddler. Sometimes they decide not to sleep. So that's everything on my notes. So now it's just down to chatter. So I'm just going to do a little week in review, and then I am also going to talk about, if anyone follows me on Instagram, the discussion that I had over there with a few people about the Walnut Festival and just in general about diversity and inclusion. So, yeah, my week. I forgot to mention last week about the leak. We had a leak in our house behind our washing machine. It was very, very, very easily fixed, but not before a load of water had poured out onto the floor in the utility room, which shares a wall with the downstairs loo and the living room. And water had poured out, gone through the walls and poured out into the living room and the downstairs loo. I had thought it had only poured out where all those walls joined because it was wet in that corner and then dry. Found out afterwards that it had also poured out right down the other side of the living room. Didn't find that out until this week. So there had been, because it was underneath the bookcases, so I didn't know until I was searching for the source of a smell. And you know that's when it's gotten bad. So I pulled out, we could smell something this week in our living room. It was a horrible, musty, sour smell. And I came down one morning and was like, what is that? I was like, maybe it's the bit of carpet that got soaked in water that was dried up and sprayed Febreze on and hoped was going to be okay. So I went and got some carpet shampoo and we scrubbed it. We were down on our hands and knees sniffing at the carpet, and it definitely wasn't that smelt. So then I started to blame my very elderly cat. She's not that elderly, but she came to us with, she was a rescue, and she came to us with a lot of problems. Her previous owner never wormed her, and she had extensive worm damage because she was so infested. But she seems fine now. She's on a special diet and, is cared for properly. But I thought maybe she was having a little bit of a tantrum, and having a bit of a wee or a spray in our living room. Fabulous as that would be. So I was around sniffing the carpet, kind of blooming cat, and thinking, where is that going to be? Ended up getting one of those Dr. Beckman, it's like a slightly squeezy bottle, and it's got a big foam pad and scrubber on the end, and I was scrubbing all the carpets until they all smelled like chemicals. And again, felt like the carpet was clean. The carpet's come off a tree. It looks fabulous. All the kiddie food stains and bits and bobs that have been on there for a while, all gone. My carpet looks brilliant. And it doesn't smell. So I was still working, but the smell was still in the room. And it wasn't until I dropped something behind the bookcase and had to pull the bookcase out. So it's actually 2 Kallax bookcases. Pulled one of them out and I was like, it is wet down there. Pulled out both the bookcases. The carpet was sodden. It was stagnant water that had been sat there for a week. And that is why my living room stank. I was so gutted. I was so gutted to see all this water. I nearly cried. So this week I borrowed a dehumidifier from my dad. Put it in the living room, was sucking up all the water. The dehumidifier is from Portugal, because my dad has lived in Portugal for the last few years, and has a European plug, like a two-pronged plug, whereas we have UK sockets, which are a 3-socket one, and he always keeps it plugged in his house, and he says, yeah, you just, and I know this is not recommended. Do not try this at home. Just shove something in the top hole and then plonk the plug in the bottom too. So I did. It's like, I won't go easily, but force it in and the prongs will just move aside a little bit and you'll be fine. That's how I do it at home. I was like, I had him on FaceTime. I was like, Dad, I'm not sure this is the right thing to do. Oh, just do it. Ring back if you have any problems. So I rammed it into the socket, like he said, and my socket broke in half. It's fine, the plug went in, but the whole bottom half of the socket, just like the actual plastic bit that is on the wall, just went and dropped on the floor, and there's just a hole in my wall. This is extremely stressful because we are looking at potentially selling our house and moving, and if we do, there is quite a lot of things I need to clear out, tidy up, and little touch-ups to the house. It's a new build, there isn't a ton of stuff that needs to be done, but having half a socket snap off and a stinky living room carpet, neither of those are things that I would love around when we go, hey, estate agent, come in and take pictures. So there we go. And I rang my dad. I was like, Dad, my socket. And he felt really bad, bless him. He came around the next day with he plugged it into an adapter, and he came around with a new socket and put a new socket on my wall. Good old dad, say. Not that I would not be capable of doing that myself, but I hadn't got a clue, and he offered. I was happy. So he's fixed that, and the dehumidifier has been running in our living room ever since. It has taken up so much water you would not believe, and my living room still stinks. So we've been scrubbing it with lots of different carpet shampoos. Now we have let it fully dry out, and at the moment it looks like it's snowed on that side of my living room. So of the whole living room, it's only on one wall that it's seeped through, and it's seeped through by about that much, pretty much all the way across. There is a bit in the middle where there isn't any, because that's the bit that was dry, but pretty much all the way across. And all that side of the room, for about that far across, is covered in bicarbonate of soda. So it looks like there's a bit of a snowfall on just that one bit of the carpet, and apparently it will neutralise the odour. I'll believe it when I see it. It smells awful in there, to the point where it is seeping into the rest of the house. It's making me feel sick every day. It is hideous. Hideous. So we will see. Tomorrow morning Chris has said he will get up early and he will hoover that up before he goes to work. Me and I'll have somewhere to be. And I am hoping for a miracle. I do not know if that will happen, but I am still hoping. So that's been going on all week, really. Just me trying different chemicals on the carpet and hoping and praying it'll work, and it hasn't been. Monday I worked till late, Tuesday I worked today, Wednesday we went out with our friends and went to the beach, Thursday was Ellie's swimming lesson, Friday we went to the wool shop and then had a bit of a stay in the house day. Saturday I worked overtime on Saturday. I worked 2:30 in the afternoon to 10:30 at night. It's the quietest night ever, it was very boring. And then today we went for a walk on Galston Seafront and went and saw my mum and went and saw Chris's sister who just got back from holiday, and that's about it. So but I've just felt really drained all week and really naff and not up for doing much, and Ellie's been quite demanding, and we've done a lot of play and Play-Doh and things that I have to have my hands in. Don't resent that at all. I'm not going to say I'm not looking forward to the time when she gets her nursery funded hours, because obviously both me and Chris work, and we both work more than 16 hours a week. Chris works full time and I work 20 hours a week, so we will qualify for the 3-year funding. I love my child to bits and I love having her around, but at some point it would be nice to have a little bit of time for myself that isn't when I'm at work. We'll see. I'm not ungrateful. I love my kid to bits and I know that I am lucky to have one. But yeah, so I'm a bit knackered. Been a long week. At one point I was going a bit quiet online as well, and my friends Mia and Katie did notice, and Katie gave me a ring. Mia who runs Brambles&Me, Katie and I, Katie Geordie Knits and we're a little three. We have a chat called the Charlie's Angels. I mean, especially for me, maybe not the other two, but for me, definitely not a typical Charlie's Angel. But you know, whatever makes you feel good. But yeah, so yes, it's been an okay week. In the grand scheme of things, my life is not that hard. But you know, so yeah, let's talk about woolness. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen some little chatter going on in my stories. I saved those stories. They are in a highlight on the top of my Instagram page, and they are named Woolness. Woolness is a wool festival going on this year in the start of August in the Northeast, in Newcastle. And I've heard a few bits about it, and each time I've heard about it, it sounds like it's going to be really big and, you know, a big deal. I haven't really heard a lot about it recently. There hasn't been a lot of hype around it at all. Like how, for example, I'm going to Perth this year. There's been so much chat about Perth. There's been so much excitement about Perth. EYF, you hear loads of stuff about EYF. Even on Ravel, which is a smaller festival, there's still loads of stuff going on online. Wool Monty, it's their first year this year. There's been loads of hype online. They're constantly, you know, posting, and I hadn't heard tons about this, and that surprised me. It is in Newcastle. It is local to both Mia and Katie, and so, you know, I was interested. I was thinking I'd go, and Katie has said that she could put me up. So I was like, yes, I've got another show I can go to. Then I realised I was working on the Saturday, and I was going to have to work until 3:30, and I couldn't get out of it. It is, like a 5-hour drive from here to Newcastle, so I would have to leave work at 3:30. You know, I'd want to go home and say goodbye to my kid, and then drive 5 hours. And I mean, I'd only be able to be there for the Sunday, but I have work on the Monday, so I would also have to leave, you know, early enough that I am not dead tired and not getting home at a reasonable time on the Sunday. But I was willing to do that because this is a big deal to my friend's hometown. And I love a yarn show, and this is the real kicker, it's a mental health awareness show. Woolness is about mental health and crafting, and the fact that a lot of us struggle with mental health and use crafting and crafting techniques and coping mechanisms to make our lives better for us. I have struggled with anxiety and depression most of my adult life. I have been medicated for big chunks of that. Right now I am not. I do not think that there is any more or less worth to a person, whether they are medicated or not. And, you know, and I would happily go back on medication if I ever felt that I was needing it. But, you know, that's another thing that really got me interested, the mental health side, because I love the idea of people talking more about it and making us all feel a little more like we're just normal parts of society. It doesn't make any difference. It really does affect so many people. The thing is, they do say on their website that they are going to have a list of 50, or they do have more than 50 diverse vendors, exhibitors. But when you go down the exhibitor list, everyone is white. When you go down the teachers page, and there's lots of teachers on there, everyone is white. And I have heard from Katie and Mia that Newcastle is an incredibly diverse place. The surrounding areas are incredibly diverse. And I know for a fact that this country is incredibly diverse. There are masses of people from marginalised groups and that, you know, that are part of our community, and they're not being represented in this show, and I don't see how you can call yourself diverse. Now, obviously, since the start of the year at least, there has been massive conversations going on about diversity and racism in our community. And as someone who has been learning and listening and trying to be a better person, I can totally see that at its core, we do all live in a racist society, and it is all of us that have to work towards making sure that this society is getting better and is a safe place for everyone. Yeah. When people, especially people of colour, call out someone or a show or anything as not being diverse, there is always mixed emotions. There are people who tell them that their feelings aren't valid. That's wrong, they are. But there are also people who then all get on the bandwagon and are like, yes, come on, let's help this, cause. This is the right thing, we need to fix this, and everyone will jump in. Woolness is marketing itself as a big show. If you go on their website, it all comes across as a big deal. And they're also claiming to be diverse. And I was feeling like that was not the case. I went over to their Ravelry group, and they have a thread where they are actively asking to know what people want to see at Woolness. And someone had already brought this up, and they had asked really clearly and really openly, what are you doing to make this more of a diverse and safe space? And are you representing a full range of our community, a full, picture of what our community is like? And it was just shot down. Basically brushed under the carpet, just totally not interested. And I felt bad for this person, because this person had gone back multiple times and tried to reiterate what they were saying, change their wording, get them to listen, and they were not being listened to at all. And it was all just brushed away. So I commented on a post. I commented actually on a post of the Knit 3 Together girls, the Cox triplets, Stephanie, Terry and Tony. They are going to be at Woolness, and their podcast is surrounding mental health and knitting, or crafting, crochet as well. And they are brilliant. Their podcast is brilliant, and they're going to be going. And they had a picture put up on the Woolness page, and I saw it and was like, and commented about the girls going. And then towards the end, I was thinking, but the whole time I was typing this comment, I was thinking, I don't feel like I can say this and not say something else, something about the diversity issue here. So I put it all in one comment, and my friend Katie pretty much straight away replied to that comment, and then got a reply to her reply in a private message immediately from Woolness. And I didn't get a reply, and I still didn't have a reply the next morning. And by then I'd obviously read everything that was going on Ravelry, and I was a bit like, why should I wait around for a reply when this, the organisers of Woolness have already tried to brush this away, and they're not gonna give me they're not gonna give me a reply, they're not gonna give me a time of day. Obviously, I can't 100% say that they wouldn't have given me the time of day, because I didn't give them the opportunity. I then followed it up with another comment and put my feelings in my stories. And those stories are all still there in my highlights if you would like to see. I am not trying to hide anything at all. I got a lot of messages. I had a long, in-depth conversation with Lucy, who is one of the organisers of Woolness. That's Lucy Locketland, and wasn't really offering any change, but she did say that she wants to create a diverse environment. But she did then contact Katie, and Katie is one of the organisers of the Solidarity Swap, and she asked her, sort of, where are we going wrong? What can I do here? And Katie agreed to help her with forming a statement and ideas for what she can do, which Katie has given her. And whether or not she goes forward with those or uses those, we'll see. So they have now, by the end of today, they have now put up a diversity and inclusivity statement, and that's really promising. That the Ravelry thread that had asked them about things, that was a month ago, and they've been brushed away and nothing had been done. And I'm not saying that it was me. They could have got messages from all sorts of people who agreed and decided to do something. But what I am saying is that if you see something like this and it makes you feel uncomfortable, I needed myself to stand up and say something. because as soon as I really realised, you know, I've been talking to Katie and Mia because they are, you know, my little friends, like my little group of friends, and I was like, I need to say something. I can't let this sit. And this is the thing, there's so many people claiming to be allies, claiming that they would stand up for their friends who are suffering from racism, homophobia, like any marginalised groups who are suffering because of injustice. They stand there and they say, oh yeah, we're an ally, I totally think that you know, should get, you know, this should happen, you know, everything should be fairer. But then they don't put their head over the top and say, hey, let's fix this. Those people either don't say anything, or they wait for people from marginalised groups to stand up and say it's not fair, and then they might join in. How can you call yourself an ally if you are willing to leave something until it actively hurts someone from a marginalised group, and then you'll maybe speak up when they find the courage, when they've waded through the trauma and pain and found the courage? So I said something, and I don't ever think that I'm saying the right thing. I'm always bad with words and try and come across how I want to come across, and then afterwards think, oh, I should have worded it differently. But there's now a diversity and inclusivity statement over there, and that's so good. So you know, if you had heard anything that's going on with Wellness and you hadn't heard the full story, they have now put a statement up. It is available to view on their website. It's also saved in their highlights on their page on Instagram, and we're waiting to see what other changes they make. So it's really exciting, and hopefully they will make a few more changes, because you know, Monty, they're in their first year too, and I'm sure it is a huge amount of work, and I'm sure the organisers, you know, are having to do a lot of work and a lot of effort, and maybe they didn't realise how much that would be. I don't know. But Monty are in their first year, and they opened up cancellation spots and asked specifically, they put a call out for a diverse group of vendors, and said they want to make their show better. You know, EYF had their diversity panel, and like, for example, Perth, you know, if you look at Perth, it really is, if you go on their website, if you look on their Instagram page, it is a really, it shows a full spectrum of our community, and there's no reason why, you know, Wellness can't do the same, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be given the chance to, in my eyes. If someone's willing to change and make things better, we should give them the chance, and fingers crossed that they all step up and do that, rather than try and let it lie now. It would be nice to see everyone trying to be better. So yeah, but at the end of the day, I was acutely aware the entire time that I am a white woman, a white heterosexual cisgender woman, standing up and saying, I want things, I don't think this is right, and that maybe I don't have a clue what I'm talking about, because I've never been through the trauma, the pain of being from a marginalised group and being treated other. So I was never sure I was doing the right thing, but I think we're good, I think. If I ever offend anyone with the things that I'm saying, I would always want to be brought up on it. So if I ever offend someone, or you think that I'm really not right in what I'm saying, please feel free to send me a message. I have had quite a few chats this week with people who have messaged me about this discussion over the weekend, and a few of them have come to me with a different point of view. They have been so respectful, put their point of view across and said, why do you think differently? And then given me the chance to spiel out all of my words. And in both cases of the people that I've spoken to, they saw my point. And I'm not asking you to agree with me, but I am asking for us to have a conversation and not an argument. And I'm not arguing with anybody. And it was really nice to have such grown-up conversations. But also, it was lonely out there, man. I have Katie and Mia, they've got my back, totally. And a few other people have messaged me since, and you know, they totally see where I'm coming from, and they're totally supporting. But I just thought for a minute, geez, if I actually was from a marginalised group, and if I actually had dealt with the trauma and the pain of having this be part of my life every day, how much work and effort must that take to stand up and say, hey, this is not okay, can you fix this please? And then have the backlash that comes with that. I've never ever had anything like that ever in my life. And so when I put my hand up and said, hey, this isn't how we like our society to be anymore, it's not how we like our community to be anymore, the bit where 300 odd people viewed my story, and that barely ever happens, that many people viewing my story barely ever happens, but having 300 odd people view my story and then only getting about 5 messages to say you agree with me, and total radio silence otherwise, and no one, like, you know, there weren't people, by the end a few people were sharing my stories, but not half the people who I thought would, and a lot of people who have been very outspoken and have joined in when other people, especially people of colour, people from marginalised groups, people from the LGBTQ community, those people, there are people that have stood up and supported those people because they are obviously from these marginalised groups and they've wanted to support whatever they're talking about at that point because they agree with it. That's fine. But none of them would stand up behind a white woman who was saying they didn't think it was good enough. So I was doubting myself a lot there, and I was thinking a lot about the fact that, do I really know what I'm talking about here? And I kept on with it because I've got a daughter in this community, and I want her to grow up and to say if she sees something and thinks it's wrong or thinks we need to be better. But I couldn't have done it without Katie and Mia, because I was scared the whole time that people were going to basically shout me down. So I've had this tiny taste. I'm not saying I've had an insight, because I really haven't, but this tiny taste of what it feels like to say something and then have everyone else just wait and watch and see what would happen. And it was lonely and it was scary, and I feel bad for anyone that has done that previously and felt the same. So there we go, a little rundown spiel of what went on with the whole wellness thing. But I am incredibly glad that they have decided now to release an inclusivity, diversity statement surrounding their show. I'm still not 100% sure I'm going to go. I'm saying, I've been saying now for a little while, I don't think I can make it. I don't think I can, and I really want to go. We'll have to see. It's one I can't quite commit to, and I don't think I can commit to it at all unless actual actions go behind these words, because it is all well and good thinking a few things up and posting them on your website. If you don't make any real change and just hide behind those words, then really doesn't mean that much. We'll see. It's not up to me. It's not up to me to make decisions on what is good enough and what is, what is the be all and end all of this conversation. But I'm interested to see where it goes from here. I just really want to say that I feel like we all need to expect better of each other, and it has to be a culture for me, because I am not an argumentative person. I hate confrontation, but I will do it. But for me, it's about being able to stand up and say if you see something's not right, not in a way of calling them out and starting a big but more in a way of saying, hey, I don't like this, what do you think about this, can we fix it? And then potentially them listening and going, I didn't see it that way, yes, let's fix it. And then everyone's better off. There we go. I've really rabbited for a very long time. Thought this was going to be a short one. Definitely wasn't. Might cut a lot of this out. Might not. Might make you sit through it all. It's not been the easiest of weeks. And I'm sure next week I will be back to my normal blabbery self that has done nothing serious all week. I'm going to leave it there. So, as always, please my voice, man. As always, thank you so much for making me so much less of a lonely knitter.